Welcome to the Portal Game Spotlight. Today I'll be covering the civilization-growing, engine-building card game of Imperial Settlers. The world is small, and 4 powerful civilizations are vying to build great empires within it. Through acts of engineering, might, and trade, they each strive to expand and grow as quickly as possible while keeping an eye on their borders for inevitable conflicts. The path to victory is varied, as each civilization has different strengths and weaknesses. Some may succeed by focusing on their city infrastructure, while others will do so through conflict and intrigue. The central mechanism of Imperial Settlers is engine building through smart hand management and tableau building. Each card can be played into a civilization and will offer the players access to new resources, ongoing beneficial effects, or new abilities that they can activate. The key to victory comes through combining cards with synergistic effects and figuring out the best way to utilize the options that your hand of cards and pool of resources have given you. Each player's engine will become more specialized when they begin playing their civilization-specific cards. These buildings are unique to their given civilization and play to their specific strengths while unlocking powerful in-game effects. These special buildings can come at a large cost, however, as most require the destruction of your own buildings in order to be completed. Paying close attention to your supply of resources is important, as there are 6 overall types in the game, and at the end of each round, all surplus goods except for one type will be discarded. Each card in the game can be used in 2 to 3 different ways, and figuring out how best to use them provides one of the game's greater challenges. They can all be constructed into buildings, which will provide the players with a variety of new options and effects. However, this usually costs resources, and another way to gain these is by simply destroying cards from their hand to gain an influx of resources which can be used immediately. Finally, every faction-specific card can be turned into a trade deal which will continue to provide the player with its benefits for as long as it persists. Imperial Settlers is not a solitary game. Players will be needing to keep as close an eye on their opponents as their own growing civilizations in order to keep them in check. Aggressive force can be utilized through the use of raise tokens, allowing players to destroy their opponent's common buildings and reap the rewards from their ashes. There are ways to defend against these attacks, but some destruction is inevitable due to the player's close borders. Adapting to the loss of important buildings is yet another key aspect to succeeding in the game. Each civilization has its own unique deck of cards that they have access to in addition to the common pool of cards which are available to all. The industrious Romans used their engineering prowess to build massive cities full of buildings as well as their military might to keep others at bay. The crafty Egyptians wield powerful game-changing abilities that take advantage of their easy access to large amounts of gold which can take the place of wood, stone, or food. The wild barbarians tend to focus more on their land than their cities, using their abundant population to great effect through harvesting resources and constantly raiding their neighbors. Lastly, there is the advanced Japanese, whose vast trade networks and beautiful buildings provide the most efficient path to victory points in the game. Unfortunately, they also suffer from weak borders, and this makes even their main cities very susceptible to aggressions from their opponents. Imperial Settlers released to widespread acclaim, and has been bolstered by 2 large expansions which bring new civilizations and mechanics to the game. The Atlanteans bring new cards for each faction as well as the common draw deck, and players can now create technology as a resource which is used to double the output of players' buildings. The Atlanteans themselves have access to an even better advanced technology which can be used for defense or even more points. They must focus on generating these points during the game because once it is over, all their buildings will sink into the ocean and be worth nothing at all. The second expansion brings the Aztecs, and in addition to new faction and common cards, it also adds the ability for players to harness the power of prayer. Despite the offerings players must give, there are still risks associated with asking for gifts from the gods. Fortunately, they can be mitigated through gathering blessings to assure that they will listen. There have also been 2 smaller expansions released, which have added more variety to the decks of cards each civilization draws from, in addition to new in-game effects like sharing production and set collection. Imperial Settlers challenges players to make the best use of the tools they are given, and provides them with numerous options with which to succeed. With up to 6 different civilizations to play with, each with their own unique styles and quirks, there is no shortage of new experiences and combinations to seek out and discover. Portal Games plans to continue supporting Imperial Settlers, and believes its combination of asymmetric civilizations, engine building, and smart hand management will keep having players coming back time and time again.